Hi you guys, welcome back to KickBait. I am Heavenswhip.
And I'm AzurewolfeCx.
And we're here to tell you guys what we think is our top 10 strength units are in food fantasy.
To begin, we're going to start off with Spaghetti. He is linked with foie gras. His moves are good for utility as he stuns all the entire team. And he has decent DPS.
Unfortunately, we don't have him yet, but you guys, if you guys are in a pretty good guild, you can get him over at your guild store. But he looks just like this. Alright you guys, next up on our list at number 9 is Yuxiang. And she looks like this. And these are her abilities. First up I want to note is that her normal ability raises her attack and crit rate by whatever number you have it at a certain level, and respectively increases her attack speed by whatever respective level that you have for 5 whole seconds. Her energy skill unleashes an enormous flame that her cigarette has, dealing 40% of the food soul's attack damage stat to all enemies plus extra damage. And what's really important to note is that she silences all enemies for 5 whole seconds. And the difference between that and her Link skill is that she does 60% of food soul attack stat damage to all enemies plus an enormous amount of extra damage than her previous energy skill. And also she silences the enemy for 5 whole seconds. Next thing to note, she is partnered with Plum Juice when he enters the battlefield, and this is when the skill will be even higher. One thing to note, she's really good for PvP, and she's really good just to have as a unit. And basically you can find her shards. Let's go back in. You can respectively find her shards. There we go. You can respectively find her shards kind of anywhere. You can go anywhere to like the airship, the hard mode, and you can also summon her. Alright, and next up on our list at number 8 is Mooncake. Oh, I love her. She's so pretty. And what makes her make our list at number 8 is that her basic skill throws a moon at a random enemy target, dealing 25 attack damage per second for 3 whole seconds, and it also removes any positive effect a target may have. That's really good because if they have any buffs, she can instantly remove them. Her energy skill deals 40% attack damage to all enemies plus some extra damage. This is nice, but one thing to note about her energy skill is that if the target HP falls below 10%, this can trigger her slaying effect, which causes the target to die instantly. And with her Link skill, she does 60% attack damage to all enemies plus an additional damage than what she did before. If the target's HP is equal to 15% or lower, it'll trigger her slaying effect, causing the target to die instantly. Now, this is really good because she can link with Double Scoop, but then she can also be linked with Tang Yan, so one way or the other way. And one thing to note is that she is very easy to be obtained. She can be obtained at the metal store, airship, and also the hard stages. And one thing that is good for her is that her best uses is basically anywhere. So next up at number 7 is going to be
Raindrop Cake. So a Raindrop, he is very difficult to get, but when you do get him, his moves are good for charming the other team. So with a good charm, you can have the other team attack each other right when they do their energy skill or Link skill. His basic attack actually increases his own attack damage. Once again, really hard, no Link skill. So he's really good with any team. We would try to stick him more on PvP, just anything where there's multiple people instead of like world boss or where there's one character.
Guys, next up on our list at number 6 is Hamburger.
Actually,
let's take a look at him.
Give me 1 minute.
So these are his abilities. Pretty snazzy. Now what makes him notable at number 6 is that his basic skill deals 40% food soul attack damage to all the enemies, and he gives a little bit of extra splash damage. And his energy skill makes him leap up into the air at the nearest enemy unit, dealing 100% of the food soul's attack plus a huge amount of extra damage. And his Link skill makes him leap up into the air, attacking the nearest enemy unit and dealing 120% of the Food Soul's attack as damage, plus a even more bonus added damage to it. And what's nice about Hamburger is that he links with Steak. So this is when this ability would come into play. And through summoning, Shard Fusion, oh my goodness, stop scrolling, Showdown, Tip Shop, Restaurant, and Airship.
So next, we're going to be talking about Red Wine. What's good with Red Wine is that he's really good with trying to penetrating the support team. As you see by his basic skill, he actually attacks the farthest enemy away, which is actually usually the healer, so that's good with taking them out. He's linked with the gingerbread, so really good if you have a good defensive team. We would say that he has really good attack for single target, and really good against PvP.
Next up on our list at number 4 is Sanma. What isn't there enough to say about Sanma? Let's take a look at him. So these are his skill sets. Now what makes Sanma such a delicious target to put inside your team is that he is a very good single target unit. His basic skill allows you to attack the nearest enemy target, dealing 120 Food Soul attack damage plus an additional splash damage. And then he also does an extra amount of damage per second for 3 whole seconds to that nearest enemy. When you look over his energy skill, Sanma flashes behind the nearest enemy target, stabbing them in the back for 120% of their damage plus an absurd amount of extra damage. Absurd. And for his link skill, instead of it flashing behind the nearest enemy, he flashes behind the farthest enemy, backstabbing them and dealing 120% attack damage plus an enormously absurd amount of extra damage. Sanma links with Tempura, and he can also be linked with bonito rice if you have him. Now, how do you get Sanma? Let's see where you can get him. You can get him through summoning, Shard Fusion, and Airship. And basically, Sanma is good for any single target type of environment. So World Boss would be good, Guild Boss would be good, and just maybe even you can throw him in when you're questing. Just do your chests. He'll help you get rid of the chest super easy and give you plenty of damage to work with. Next up on our list is yours truly, one of my favorites, my man, Bamboo Rice. Look at him. He's my favorite. Anyways, let's take a look at his stuff. So these are his skills. And what lands Bamboo Rice at number 3 on our list is because he just does damage. He wields a machete that deals 120% attack damage to the nearest enemy, plus some extra damage on the side, and he also reduces the target's defense by 10% for 3 seconds. That's really good. And his energy skill makes him envelop into his long hair, swinging into the enemy's camp, whirling around, dealing 50% of the Food Soul's attack stat to all enemies, plus an absurd amount of damage on top of that. And instead, he also reduces their defense by 15%. That's a game changer for 5 whole seconds. Also to note that his link skill does just an even higher amount of stats that he did for his energy skill. Basically same thing, envelops into his hair, whirling around into the enemies, dealing 75% of the Food Soul's attack stat to all enemies, plus an additional huge amount of damage, and reducing their defense by the most 20% for 5 whole seconds. So if you have anything for like your side skills to combo with giving him just constant energy, the enemy team is just going to constantly have just less defense overall. And you can easily acquire Bamboo Rice through summoning and Shard Fusion, and sometimes team up. It's very rare, but you can get them through team up. I suggest using my man Bamboo Rice on World Boss. I also would like to put him towards guild boss, and also he's just good in all types of groups. If you want him to do single target, he can. If you want him to do group damage, he can. He's just really good. And if you want questing, catacombs, he's just really good. Alright you guys, next up on our list at number 2 is Boston Lobster. And unfortunately we don't have him, but oh my god, please, I wish I can just get him. Let me just look at him. So basically what makes Boston Lobster so great, you guys, is that his basic skill attacks the nearest enemy, and if their HP falls below 15%, it's automatically an execute. Like, who does that?
An assassin character, basically.
He's basically an assassin character, and his energy skill also attacks the nearest enemy, and instead of executing, he actually increases his own attack by 15%, and it stays that way for 10 seconds. So that's something really, really to note on. He also links with Spicy Gluten, and the difference between his energy skill and his link skill, instead of 15% for 10 seconds, he increases his attack by 20% for 12 seconds. That's really, really huge. So basically he is a single targeted unit, and he can be used for world boss, guild boss, PvP. He's overall just a really, really good unit, and you know, if you guys do have him, kudos to you. He is definitely someone on your list that you need to watch out for.
Last but not least is number 1, Toso, obviously. Reason that she's really, really good. She actually pairs up with Tortoise Jelly, which is a really hard character to get, but she's also very, very difficult. You can only get her through event summoning, so you gotta keep making sure you track which event she's available for. She has a really good AoE, but what makes her stand apart from the rest is that her link skill and her energy skill actually return energy, so it's really good to spam enemy teams, really good for PvE or a boss, just an overall badass no matter which way you go about it.
She's just mommy. Just, if you see her, save all your food souls, save everything, save your monies, just get her. Now, one thing we want to mention is there are 2 people that didn't make the list, but we will mention them as, you know, an honorary, and that one is going to be, first up, Spicy Gluten. She's just pretty. But basically, she links with Boston Lobster, and she has a basic skill that attacks the nearest enemy target, so very similar to Boston Lobster. Her energy skill also attacks the nearest target, and charms for 3.5 seconds. So that's also very good to know if you don't have some of the characters above from our main list. She's good to use overall. And last but not least, as our last honorable mention, is Cold Rice Shrimp.
What's really good with her, you guys, is that she damages the furthest away enemy with her energy skill, and then her basic skill actually damages a random enemy. I would definitely recommend her using her as like a secondary attacker, or pairing her up with someone like Red Wine, and really stomp on the healers of the other team or the magic characters, if that's what you wanted to do.
And where you can easily get her is you can obtain her through summoning, team up, or shard fusion at your leisure. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the bell, that way you can have all the notifications of us whenever we're posting. And basically, thank you guys again. We'll see you on our next video. Bye!